My guest here in the studio is David Taylor. We're learning a wee bit about your life on the boards there. So you trod the boards, as they say, and
well, very briefly,
and then
Neil,
carried on to another facet of your life. Played in a band, I'm told by
reliable
people.
sources,
Yes.
Jimmy. Yeah, I did. I played rhythm guitar quite badly. The fact of the matter was that when the 10 o'clock closing came in hotels, a friend and myself started a small promotion business. And so we took these bands and took them round various hotels, booked the bands first, then got the bookings in the hotels later, and had this group of bands that went around. Sometimes when someone was short, I would fill in because I'd messed around on guitar and tried to write songs when I was younger, and unsuccessfully. But anyway, and so I used to fill in. So it's quite correct that I did for some years. And I always remember a professional musician in town who said to me one day, "I hear you playing in a hotel the other night." I said, "Yeah, yeah. You still doing your magic?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I'd stick to doing my tricks."
Oh,
so I did.
Polite.
Oh no,
fella.
he didn't mean it quite that way.
He
was right.
Being humorous.
Yeah, no. But anyway, I sort of, it was a fill-in thing.
Yes.
But, I met some very fine people like Jim, who just rang, and Bruce Marple Trio was the name of the band, the Bruce Marple Trio. That was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Gee whiz.
Yeah.
Memory lane here.
You've seen a lot of, like me, a lot of entertainers and shows come in and out of town over the years, David. And did you used to frequent them and go to the shows and take them in when they came, like the old His Majesty's days, the Harry Wren shows, those big productions and stuff like that?
I did indeed. Couldn't wait. Tried to get to every performance. And I used to go there and I used to think, the problem with me and my makeup is that for most people, a day at the theatre is interesting. You come back and you get back into normal life. The more shows that I went to, I confess that I found it more and more difficult to get back to I just loved it. My whole time started from when that band played the overture to when I was walking out of the theatre and they were still playing summer, and that's a very dangerous thing to a degree because it becomes unrealistic. But certainly I did, and before me here I have an Ice Follies program from 1964.
Oh,
Harry Wren.
Yeah.
It was an old show. I just picked a few at random because there was a ventriloquist on the program, Eddie Garson, who I remember enjoying.
Well, I was going to ask you that because you'd occasionally see ventriloquists and comedians, because you did ventriloquy. Is that the word?
Ventriloquism, yeah.
Of course. You did that as well as magic tricks. So you would have seen the odd overseas artist.
I have. And those shows were great vehicles for, the seeing acts that you'd not normally see. It wasn't just the Ice Follies, of course. There are other variety shows that came through. In those days, His Majesty's Theatre was the in place, as you'll recall yourself. And but I did, and I used to hang round the stage door and try to meet some of these people and talk to them and get their views on things. And most of them were very kind to a young boy.
You just opened your scrapbook there. I'm interested. You got a Miss Otago.
I have.
What's that there for?
1974. Don't know much about it, but I acquired a whole lot of programs.
That's Pamela King, isn't it?
No,
that's not.
Not sure. I know that the judges were interesting in those days.
Pamela Farry, Ewan Stevens.
And spelt incorrectly, may I say.
It is, instead of Ewing.
Yeah.
Richard Walls and Anne Verbocket. Yeah.
It was just in a collection of programs that I acquired, I think, yeah.
Chick Littlewood was on that show.
He
Steve
was
Allen,
indeed.
The Calder Prescott.
Calder Prescott's big jazz band, yes.
And Murray
Calder
Ackland,
would remember
the producer,
all that.
Murray Ackland, the producer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great times.
Oh, great times, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
Great
That's
times.
Pam King on the back.
Oh, okay.
I worked in EMI Records for a while, and she worked with me.
Oh, right,
I
okay.
employed her, and she became Miss New Zealand.
Oh, right, okay.
So I picked her for her ability to sell records, of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah, indeed.
And Basil Brush.
Well, I found this,
Boom,
and
boom.
I said to my wife, Shirley, shall I take a couple of programs? She said, well, don't take too many in that. And as I looked through this, for some reason, the Basil Brush program, I thought I'll bring this because your dear friend, the late Trevor King, was the tour manager.
He was, indeed.
I've made a note here, and you'll know all this.
Yes.
I'm telling you stuff. I fancy coming all this way to tell you stuff you already know, Neil.
Trevor was a lovely, lovely man.
He was. I think I met him
once.
once. The guy who owned the magic shop in Christchurch that I talked about, Delano was his professional name,
Yes.
Burns Scandrett, was a very good friend of Trevor King's, and so I think he introduced me. But I didn't know Trevor King personally. I know that you used to go up to see him.
Just one of the Lord's gentlemen. He was just.
Well, this is what I heard. Yeah.
And the people he's met and toured with, you couldn't shake a stick at, really. So, what else is on your, in your memory lane there, David?
Well, in the early days, I got in touch with Peter Dawson, Peter 4ZB, when the studios were down Lower Stewart Street, and I'd go up on a Friday night, whatever night, and sit in the wee sound and that, and Peter would talk to me and that. And when he found out that that I was in the entertainment business and did a magic act and ventriloquist act, I then became part of his famous concert party. This was a great place to get experience, of course.
Yes.
Because he once told me that people from overseas or anywhere in the world would write a letter to Peter Dunedin and that it would get to him. Mm-hmm. And I always remember being impressed by these. Have you seen my big books? He used to say to me.
Oh, yes. The
publicity books.
The Wonder Book of Knowledge as well.
Yeah, I have heard of that, yeah. But these were his publicity books where he'd done films with Peter Finch and various performers and things in Australia. He had a very interesting career. But Peter taught me that we'd go to retirement homes and things, and I'd do my wee act, and Peter would do his thing, and he always finished with that great Harry Warren song, September in the Rain, and the people there, they loved it, and I used to think, gee, it's like he's an overseas star. Sort of gave me the idea that you don't have to come from overseas or anywhere. The talent is within, and the performer could be anywhere in the world. In this case, he was in Dunedin. But to get that love, to pass over the footlights and that and get to these people, he was doing it right here and doing it very well. He had a great following, Peter.
Yes. I can't say I can top Peter of Dunedin, but I think I can get close. I kept for many years, I think I've lost it now, but an envelope addressed from London, addressed to Neil Collins, New Zealand.
Oh, that's good. Well,
it's not bad, is it?
All right, I'll just cross that out about Peter. The next interview I do is going to be mentioning you. Right?
But at least the postman in those days probably didn't have as many people to think about.
No.
It found its way to me here.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was amazing.
Ah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Frank Stapp from Invercargill. You remember Frank Stapp?
Yes, I do.
There was I always thought that Peter was very theatrical in the old world sense. He was the last of the theatricals with the long black coat, sometimes draped over his shoulders, didn't put his arms through it. That was the sign of a star, I thought. And he had the hat and that, and he looked the part. And Frank Stapp was the other one, Dear Frank from Gala Street, and that used to get me down to do shows in Invercargill and Deep Cove.
And riding a push bike along the streets of Invercargill with the posters rolled up on the handlebars.
He would.
And with a fag going at the same time and a gabardine coat. And he'd get off and put the posters up for the shows. Yeah.
He just loved it. He was one of those people that probably never made anything out of it. We talked about money before. No. And yet his whole life was based around the idea of advanced publicity, anything to do with show business. I once toured with the Prickly Thistle Show. It was a radio program. Peter Fleming, that a lot of people, listeners may remember. And who was there? Frank was there at the theatre. And hello, Master David. And the good old days, weren't they?
They were indeed. Well, you've seen a lot, you've done a lot, and in that time, that shock of fuzzy red hair has faded somewhat, David?
Somewhat, yeah.
Somewhat. There's still traces.
My enthusiasm's still there, though, please.
Of course it is.
Yeah. It's nice to be coming and getting insulted, isn't it?
But
so I could have been sitting around a coffee shop or something like that, part of the cafe set.
Of course. Yeah. You were thick with a latte or something. You ever thought
I've got some water.
You should be resident of Parnell or Ponsonby or something.
I should, by right. No, I'm very happy with Dunedin. Isn't it funny when you're a kid, you want to go to Christchurch, you want to see to get to the clubs, and I used to go up and do things at the Zodiac Dance Way and do bits and pieces and that, and you want to be up there, but the older you get, the more you realise that here, this is the place. That's me anyway.
That's the way to be. And if you're happy, you're happy.
You're a great advocate for Dunedin, Neil.
Don't worry, be happy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And so am I, because it's just that you get older and slightly wiser about that. Anyway, I'm sure there are people who would disagree with what I'm saying, but however,
I doubt very much that, David. It's just a matter in life of being positive.
That's right. As you say, happy.
Positives.
Yeah, that's it.
And it'll all work out. I know there's a lot more we could talk about, but it's been delightful to catch up with you and just take a little quick trip down memory lane. And you can still do a trick if you wanted to. I mean, you can disappear in a matter of a minute or two here.
Well, I probably will do, actually. Does that mean this whole thing's finished? Or? Yeah. Most people say, well, thanks very much for coming in, David. No, I've known you for so long, Neil. I know what to expect.
Don't take offence, whatever you do. But
it's been a pleasure,
mine
absolute
too.
pleasure to come in here and go over. Any chat that we have is a pleasure to me. But there's no place that I'd rather have been this morning than here. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. David Taylor.